So, okay. So you know what I mean, Rio? So that's okay though. Let's just say, for example, then that you are identifying the TMS is where you're wrong, right? Okay. And I'm not sure what level that is. I'm assuming that's somewhere up here, maybe. But let's just keep going. So you're staying course short. Number two, you have a topping tail on this bar. You do, yeah. You add 10%. Okay. How about this one though? There's the topping tail there, right? I like this one, guys, a little bit more just because you retrace more of the bullish candle, right? This one you do have a tail, and maybe, and buddy, I agree. Maybe this was really bearish at one point, right? And then it finished the bar like that. So I get that, but there's a tail there. But just so everybody knows, I mean, I typically like a topping tail. The more you get the bulls that get, the more of the bullishness that gets erased, that's better, right? Obviously, a candle like this is still bullish with a small wick. So we really like to see that get taken out like this. But sometimes it does this and then finishes back up. So that's okay. So you're shorting more here. Okay. And then you're identifying the cycle crossed on the 30-minute somewhere in here. Oh, at 0.3. Okay, so 0.3, the cycle started across, right? Something like that. Okay. Now at 3, you identify the cycle cross, but did you have another action there? No. Okay. All right. Here's what I see, partner, on that. You get the cycle cross. You can be confident with the timing piece on that. And then what did you get here? What did you get on this? Guys, for the rest of you that are watching too, what is this setup? Yep, exactly. Right? So that's a good spot right there, Rio, to add and or get a little bit more aggressive. Put your toe in the water short here, short here. That means your average, if you sell the same size lot, 10%, 10%, your average is something like this. Boom, you sell 3 lots here. That brings your average up pretty close to the market. And then guess what happens on this flush? You can start taking profit. Right? So I like that you got this. And when you get this, you want to start looking for setups and start looking at the 1 minute where you can maybe start to get more involved. Okay. 4. So did you see how this changes the trade? Shorting more here allows you to make money, right? And then you use your profit take rules. This is your first push. This is a second push, but for sure you probably had a 5 minute. So this is the 5 minute. Your 5 minute cycle is low into a rising 30. That's a prime location for a higher low. You know what I mean? So shorting more there allows for profit take here, which is just beautiful, right on a 5 minute low. And then that makes this rally more interesting too, right? So let's see what you did. You did not add. Why? I don't know. That's okay. All right. So it just changes the trade here. Shorting this, you're covering in the lows. You already made money. You probably would be shorting here without any hesitation. Okay. But at this stage of the game, you got to tell me kind of what the 15-minute cycle looks like, because if the 15-minute is turning back up, and you see here how the 5 minutes in an uptrend, this was a place where you could have been going long at the same time. And if you had a cycle that was telling you the same thing, this was a long here. But that said, I mean, if you short it here, which is a good spot, especially if you're playing that 30-minute cycle, you have a wall about halfway. You could have been shorting, right? And then covering on the 1 minute. And if you're shorting here, you know that your risk is above this high, right? All right, so let's just keep going. 30% on the 1 minute up. Okay. Higher time frame, 5 minute, that's not 80%. I'm not sure what you mean there. But I'm okay with you getting a little bit more aggressive as long as you're doing it with a cycle. I don't know if is 5 right here or is 5 right here? Is 5 on this one? This one? Okay, that's better. I was gonna say this one, I don't really see it. This one is better. And you were probably looking at the high from here and going, oh man, I should have sold it. I don't know why I didn't. And then you went back to the same level, so you sold it. That's okay. I'm fine with that. And then talk to me about where your risk is, though. When you're adding, where's your risk on that? You should be saying 6 up here. Risk above this high, right? Because if the market trades through that high, which it basically did not, then you probably need to take some risk off, right? Especially since you have an uptrend here. Okay, Dave, nice. Good job, man. 30%, 6. I stayed calm. Okay. I mean, I'm okay with you guys writing that stuff because that's being aware of your feelings and emotions. So you want to be journaling that too. But you did trade through that high, right? So then you can use your guys' stop loss rules. You can wait for a close. Sometimes though, if you wait for the 5 minute to close, you're gonna get a candle that just takes off on you, right? And in those scenarios, you're gonna be like, oh, I wish I would have just taken risk off right when it poked through. So what I do, sometimes I'll take if it trades through. It depends on how heavy I am, right? If I'm really aggressive and it trades above a high, I'll just take half off. And then if it pokes through and it comes back down and I get red, I'll just get back in. That's plain smart defense. That way, if it's like around a number or whatever, if this thing just starts to take off, you're going to be glad that you took some off there instead of this, and then you're stopping out up here. But you stay calm. The risk was higher on the TMS on the 5 minute. That's not 8 minute. I stay calm. 1 hour, 4 hour crossing down. Okay. So Rio, on that too, I don't really want you guys starting to day trade a 5 minute and 15 minute trade, which is what you were doing here, because you were talking to me about the 15 minute. This is a 5 minute chart. you can get yourself in trouble if you get towards a high or where you're thinking about stopping, and now you're starting to look to a higher time frame to it's easy to start making excuses like, oh, this is making a new high, but the hourly's up here or the 4 hour, blah blah blah. If you're going to short here, that's why I want you writing about where your stop is, because if you're shorting here and you get above this high, don't start making excuses for why you haven't taken risk off, because you don't want to be wrong. That's how this thing will just keep going on you right through the 4 hour, and then you're going to look back and go, why didn't I just stop when I had my stop right here? You would only have lost this much. You know what I mean? So try not to jump to too high up time frames when you're day trading. Just kind of, I've done that too. I've done that so many times. But that's good. So you didn't panic there, and then that ended up being the high, and you took out the lows. And then you moved into profit take 7. Okay. You're down near at the bottom of the cycle, right? That can be a reason why you wanted to take profit. 80%. What's IN? What's IN, Rio? Short? What do you mean? Right here, what does this mean? %80 in the money? I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. Maybe it's a typo. Anyway, at 8 here, I'm kind of curious why there's no action here, but it seems like you covered some here. I'm curious what happened into this low, because you're shorting you're shorting near the highs. This is a lower low relative to here, and then this move was a new lower low. So I want you taking on lower lows, right? If you would have covered there, you would have covered the low pretty much. Just something that I'm just trying to point out what I see that you could have probably done a little bit better. Cover into the new lower lows. And not sure what you were thinking there at 8, but talk to me about your 15-minute cycle. When you start a trade with the 15-minute, I should see something at the end of your trade about the 15-minute crossing. 15 minutes low, that's why I was covering. I'm out at 80%. Why? Because the 15-minute was low, right? Staying short 20%. That's fine. That's trailing out, right? So that's good. You want to let the market take you out. And then maybe tell me what pivot stop you're using. I moved to a trailing pivot. So this was my stop here before. Once we broke here and I took profits at 7, maybe 8 is right there. I moved my trailing stop down. I took more profit into the low 9, new lower lows, and I moved my trailing stop down to this pivot right here. Sorry, like this. And then the cycle crossed, so I took 80% off. The cycle was low on the 15-minute, and then I just trailed the last 20% on the pivot. And then you just as soon as that pivot is taken out, you exit the trade. But a good trade overall. This is good. This is why we want to go over this stuff, guys, because there's just a couple different things that maybe would have made this trade a little bit more profitable. You still made money, right, Rio? I like that you didn't panic here. That's good. I like that you identified the cycle well, pretty much at the high. I would have liked to hear a little bit more about the 15-minute once you kind of crossed the 30-minute crossed and this time started to go by, like from here on. I'd like to hear just a little bit more about you being aware of the 15-minute. And then there was this bearish engulfing, which would have made the trade a little bit more profitable. You probably would have sold there. But overall, a good trade. I like it. This is very high level trading. You did a good job marking it up. You're focusing on all the right things. And then you doing this, you start to realize, well, I don't know why I didn't act there. Not sure why I didn't act here. Not sure why I didn't act there. But good stuff. I'm proud of this trade. You guys are doing really well. All right. Good job, Rio. Well, guys, I think that was a pretty good recap there. Instead of recapping what we did today, maybe I'll do that later for people. Let me just flip back to see what's Dragon doing now. You guys cover into the 20s, 17s, the teens. Andrew probably did, because you mentioned put it in the room. So guys, another nice morning. We pretty much caught the cycle turn on Dragon. We went over a bunch of lessons just on trading this, going contrarian, catching the cycle, catching the right-hand side of the chart, covering into the lows. Talking about how if you just wait for a phase 2 lower high, sometimes it's tough to do. That's why there's a reason to go contrarian short, smaller size, but good trades. Did everybody make money this morning? I mean, we were short cable also, so between those two plays, we pretty much sold the high. So you guys should have done pretty well, right? Some of you probably already took off because we were reviewing Rio's trade. All right, guys, good session. I'm going to be on to talk about the crypto stuff and the new team the new program we're going to be starting. So Alec put the link in, then check your emails or, shoot me a message if you don't get the links, and then we'll record it, and it should be good. But all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your trading day, and I'll see some of you a little later. All right, guys, you're welcome. All right. Okay, Chris, I'm glad you like that. Yeah, it's important, right? It's important because a lot of you, I mean, I've made every mistake you've made, I've already made it. All right, you believe that. But a lot of you are you're going to be trading something the same way, or you have the similar mistakes, or you're wrestling with the same kind of issues, not trailing out, or being afraid of selling contrarian or being too aggressive too early. So it's good to see how, you know, other people are doing the same kind of things, and then it helps you become aware, it helps you isolate the issue, and then eventually get rid of it, right? All right, guys, I'm starving. So I'll catch you guys later.